Welcome to our second live session in which we will tell you more about how to become a teacher in America. And in today's live specifically, we will talk about how you can use your qualifications from your home country to teach in the U.S. Chris, tell me something about your background. Did you need to study an American degree to become a teacher in the U.S.?
No, thank God, no, nothing, right? So first of all, welcome to our second live, right? I'm very happy to be here. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please stay till the end because your find here today is gold information, right? Definitely. So the only thing I needed was a degree. A regular degree that I studied in Brazil in my college ages ago. Oh dear Lord, ages ago.
Okay. You don't need to disclose this kind of information.
Okay, let's skip this part. So only a regular degree. I didn't need any extra certification, courses, anything.
So you're saying that all of the steps that you went through to become a teacher in your home country, which in the case is Brazil, that was enough to teach in America?
Yes, the same qualifications that I needed to be a teacher in Brazil, they are the same in America. You don't need to worry, right?
That is awesome because lots of times we don't know. We think that we need to study in the US. We think that schools will only hire teachers that were trained in the US, but that is not the fact. That is not the case at all. Right?
Yes. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. You have everything schools in America need.
So that's it. We're going to explain you in detail today what kinds of qualifications you need to teach in the US. But this is the most important thing that you need to know. If you're a teacher, if you're a qualified teacher in your home country, if you're currently working as a teacher in your home country, then there's a 99% chance that you are already qualified and you perhaps just don't know it, because that's what happened to us. We studied to be teachers in our home countries. We went through the steps that were necessary in our home countries to become teachers. We then worked as teachers in your home countries, and all of our experiences and academic qualifications were enough. Chris, what kind of school did you work at in Brazil? Did you work in international schools? Did you work with schools that had the American curriculum?
No, not at all. I worked in a public school in São Paulo, right, as an English teacher, and private schools as well, but it was regular English. They were regular schools. I didn't know anything about American curriculum. Actually, I will tell you the truth. I'm here in the US for 6 months and I'm still learning the American curriculum. You don't need to worry about it at all, really. I'm still learning. So I just worked in regular schools in Brazil with Brazilian curriculum.
So they don't need you to have experience with the American curriculum or the American education systems, because the only thing that they will see is if you are a qualified teacher.
That's it. And you don't need to worry about your English too. If you can understand us, if you have at least intermediate English, you're good to come.
You will notice that we make a lot of mistakes. We don't have a perfect English at all.
I wish I could have that,
But you're saying that we can communicate, and that's what they will want from you. Even if you feel like we have a high level, but you don't, perhaps you're thinking, oh, these guys speak way more English than I do. I have international teachers that I work with that have a lower English level than myself and that Chris, and they are here. They are working as teachers because they are qualified teachers in their home country. Of course, they have an English level that is enough to communicate and to teach, but it doesn't have to be a super high level.
Yeah. And sometimes I can't even understand what they are saying. They have to say the information again, and that's fine. Right? That's fine.
It's funny because there are Cuban international teachers, Mexican, Colombian, Indian, from all over the world, and they all have different accents. They all have different levels. And in fact, the fact that you speak a second language is worthy for them. They value that. They see this as a benefit. They see this as something that is of high value because most Americans do not speak another language. So the mere fact that you speak English as a second language will be a benefit, that it will be an advantage for you.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, for this introduction.
Okay, thank you so much.
So what will you learn in today's live session? Just as we briefly explained in our introduction, we will explain what qualifications you need to teach in America. Yesterday, we talked about the different kinds of visas and what are the possibilities for you as an international teacher. And today we will tell you what are the qualifications and what are the certifications that you need to get either a J1 visa or an H1B visas. The qualifications are similar, if not the same, for both. So we're not gonna cover what are the qualifications you need for a J1 or what are the qualifications that you need for an H1B, because they will be, if not the same, very, very similar. But before we explain what qualifications you need to teach in America, let me explain what are the steps, what is the step-by-step process that you will take to become a teacher in the US. The first step will be to secure a job offer from a US school district. Now, as we explained in our previous live, there are ways that you can find schools that have already sponsored visas in the past. So that way, when you are searching for job offers, when you are searching for job openings, you can target schools that are more likely to sponsor your visa. So the first thing you need to do is to find a job opportunity, apply for that job opportunity, for that job opening, for that position, and then go to the interview with the school that is interested in hiring you and wait for their job offer. With that job offer, you will then determine what kind of visa am I going to go for. Am I going to use, for example, a self-placement option with a paid J1 sponsor, or is that school willing to sponsor my H1B visa? Now, if you're asking, how do I find teaching positions in the US? Do I go to LinkedIn? Do I go to Google? How do I search for job positions in the internet? What do I need to know to find a job offer? We have developed an online course that will explain everything in detail, how to find schools that have sponsored visas in the past, how to find teacher positions, how to apply for specific school districts, how to apply for specific school districts. Basically, we will give you everything in detail about how you can apply for teaching positions in America and get your job offer, as well as your J1 or H1B visa. If you're watching this live series, please know that there are specific bonuses that we're gonna explain a little bit more in detail. But just to give you one right now, one of these bonuses will be a group live mentorship in Zoom with you that we're going to walk together with you and help you in the process. This is not going to be a YouTube live like we're having right now. This will be a moment that you can ask questions specific regarding your specific case so that you can get personalized guidance about your personal path to become a teacher in America. This is not something that will be offered for other people later. This is something that we're offering only for this first group because we want to thank you for trusting, for believing in us as we are building everything from scratch. So just because you are the first group ever to sign up to our online course, we want to give you this treat. We want to give you this personalized guidance. We want to give you a moment with us to discuss your personal goals, to ask your personal questions. Future people that purchase our course will have access to all the recorded classes, but they might not have this small group meeting with us, this one-to-one with us. So that's why we wanted to share right away. Now, after you've gotten your job offer, and then you've determined what visa are you going to go for? Am I going to go for a J1 visa or an H1B visa? Your next step will be different based on what visa you've chosen. Now, if you've opted for a self-placement J1 visa with a paid sponsor, then you will get your job offer, you will send it to that designated sponsor, and then they will guide you through the steps, and then they will guide you through the paperwork, through the bureaucratic steps that are needed in order to get your J1 visa. In our course, again, we'll explain in detail everything you need to know about what paperwork is necessary, what are the different visa forms that you need to fill out, what are the fees that you will potentially have to pay in addition to the sponsor fee. So that's, again, something to have in mind if you're really serious about teaching in America, is purchasing our course where we'll give you lots of information that we just don't have time to give you right now, because these are hours of content that we are putting together for people that are certain this is what I want to do, or even if you're not 100% certain yet, at least so you can have a full understanding of the process and then make your decision. Now, if you've chosen a J1 visa, your first step can also be a little different. So this is what's tricky when it comes to visas and when it comes to coming to work as an immigrant in the United States. If you've chosen a J1 visa, specifically if you've chosen a free J1 visa, which, as we explained in our last session, there are J1 sponsors that do the process entirely free for you with certain restrictions and certain limitations. But yes, you can do this entirely for free, aside from some other fees that you might have to pay. Or if you've chosen a full placement option, which we personally don't recommend because it's way more expensive than a self-placement option, and it's not hard at all to get a job offer. But if you've chosen one of these paths, a free J1 sponsor or a full placement J1 sponsor, then this will be your first step. Because what happens when you choose a free sponsor or a full placement J1 sponsor is that you are not so much in control of what school are you going to teach. You pretty much depend on the job offers that they give you. These sponsors have certain schools or certain school districts that they work with. So what they will do is that they will get your resume from the application that you filled out in their website after they determine that you meet their specific requirements, not the program requirements, the sponsor requirements, which might be a little bit more strict than the overall qualifications. And then they will send your resume out to schools and school districts that they partner with. These schools will then decide, do I like this candidate? Do I want to offer them a job, or in the beginning a job interview to then find out if I want to hire them? And these schools from their network will invite you to a job interview. And then if you pass the job interview, they will offer you a job offer. So it might be totally free. It might seem a little less time consuming if you think, I'm just gonna go through a free sponsor that finds a job offer for me, or I'm gonna pay a little more and go through a full placement sponsor that will find me a job offer, and that will be easier. So in a certain way, you are right. However, you are a little less in control of what schools you're gonna teach at, because you're going to be depending on the job offers from their network. And just to be completely honest and open with you, when I came to the US as a teacher, I didn't have all the information that I am giving you right now. I didn't understand anything in detail about how the process worked, and I wanted, in a certain way, peace of mind. So I decided to go through a full placement J1 sponsor. I paid for the program, and let me just open that to you. The process cost me more than $5,000. Yes, the sponsor found me a job. However, it was only one position, So I had to accept it, or I wasn't going to have any other one. So I had to accept that position. And if I refused it, I still had to pay, because of the contract that I signed with them, the full amount that I had agreed, which again was over $5,000. And at the end of the day, I'm happy with the position that I was given. I like the state that I live in. I like the school district where I live in and work at. However, I later realized that I could have chosen a self-placement option and saved thousands of dollars, because it's not hard at all to get job offers. I had no idea about how to get a job offers from an American school, so that's why I decided to pay thousands of dollars. But if I had the information that I'm giving you today, I wouldn't have had to pay that at all. Now, if you've chosen a self-placement option and went through the step 3, you got a job offer, you've determined you're going through the self-placement J1 visa, then all that is left for you to do is complete the paperwork and the necessary bureaucratic steps. Now, if you were lucky enough, and if you watched our online course where we gave you all the tips you need to know about how to get job offers from schools that sponsor H-1B visas, so you found a school that is willing to sponsor your H-1B visa, then what will happen after that is the school district will work with their lawyer, and with the lawyer's help, they will file a petition with U.S.CIS, which stands for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. And after that petition is approved, you can then apply for a visa at your local U.S. embassy in your home country. Now, the H-1B also has certain restrictions when it comes to how many H-1B visas the United States issue every year. So there's also a lottery process, even though certain school districts are exempt from that lottery process. So in this sense, the process could be a little longer than the H-1B, depending on how long it took for that petition to be approved, if your school was selected in the lottery or not. But then the difference is, aside from your flights, your visa interview, and your personal living costs, such as rent, etc., there's not anything left that you need to pay for, because your employer, the school or the school district, will pay everything for you through their lawyer. In fact, they're not even allowed to charge you certain fees, which is very different than the J1 visa. Your next step would then finally be prepare for your visa interview, attend your visa interview, make your travel arrangements and financial plans. Our course, in addition to explaining to you in detail how to find a job offer, how to get a J1 visa, what are the sponsors, how to get an H-1B visas, what are schools that have already sponsored H-1B visas in the past, so your chances are higher to be sponsored with an H-1B visa. In addition to all of that, we will also have a module that is entirely dedicated for your financial planning, with tips such as how much money should you bring? Will my teacher's salary be to cover myself and my family's living costs? Is my spouse authorized to work? How much is rent? How do I find rent information? How do I rent a house or apartment? How do I buy a car? Everything that you need to know for your financial organization will also be included in a dedicated module in which we'll tell you in detail how to financially plan for your new life in America. And honestly, financial organization is important for everything in life, but specifically when it comes to moving countries, given the fact that your home country might have a currency that is way less valued in comparison to US dollars, that gives you way more reasons to plan financially so you don't face certain setbacks, specifically in your first months or in your first year. Now let's talk about the main topic in this live session, which is qualifications and certifications. What are the requirements to be a teacher in the US with a J1 or H-1B visa? Well, first of all, you must be a qualified teacher in your home country, which hopefully you are if you've come to our live. This is a channel, an Instagram page, as well as a YouTube channel designed for teachers, so hopefully you are already a teacher. So you must be qualified to teach in your home country. The second requirement is you must be currently working as a teacher in your home country. This will be mandatory for the J1 visa. You cannot apply for a J1 visa if you're not currently working as a teacher in a certified school, either public or private, but it cannot just be a language institute, for example. It has to be a school. But for the J1 visa, because it is a cultural exchange, you must be working as a teacher in your home country at the moment of your application. So let's say you are not currently working in a regular school, but you're working in a language institute, for example. I would say your next step would be try to find a job, even if it is part-time, though they require full-time, but there might be a certain flexibility as long as you're working in a regular school, in a private or public elementary, middle, or high school in your home country. The ideal world is that you are working full-time in an elementary, middle, or high school of your home country. For the H-1B visa, this might not be 100% necessary. However, your case, your profile will be way stronger if you are a qualified teacher in your home country and you are currently working full-time as a teacher in your home country. Again, not in a language institute, not in private courses, not teaching online, not running your own teaching business, working in a qualified school of your home country. If you're not currently teaching, then one of the other ways you could be qualified is that you have completed an advanced degree within 12 months of your application. However, many sponsors will not even consider that. Many sponsors will deny your application right away if you're not currently working as a teacher. So yes, this is one of the official requirements of the US government. However, I don't recommend going through that route because many sponsors will not even consider that. They want you to be working as a teacher, specifically for the J1 visa. The fourth requirement is to be a US equivalent bachelor's degree. And in our course, we explain you how to get a foreign credential evaluation and what are the different companies that do this process for you. But basically, you must possess a bachelor's degree. If you're a qualified teacher, you probably already have one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been a qualified teacher in the first place. So that requirement is also kind of the same as the first one. Another requirement is that you have at least 2 years or 24 months of teaching experience or related professional experience in a regular school. Now, while the requirements say related professional experience, which might seem a little bit broad for you, we strongly recommend that your experience is as a full-time teacher in a regular school. Yes, your experience as an assistant teacher or intern, for example, may count towards your resume or might be seen positively in addition to your teaching experience. But think about it, they're hiring a teacher from another country, so they want to make sure that this is a qualified teacher with experience in a classroom that will be able to deal with challenging situations. Teaching in America isn't easy, isn't perfect. There will be challenges, and therefore they need qualified professionals. And the sixth requirement is English proficiency. As we talked about in our introduction, there's no English proficiency test that you must take. So forget TOEFL, IELTS, CAE, CPE. For that process, these tests are not necessary at all. But still, you have job interviews. You will be working in an American school. You will be working with American students. So you need sufficient English language skills for effective teaching. You can be an intermediate level of English, but you need to be able to communicate. So in addition to these requirements that I have just explained, there are other documents and other considerations that you must have in mind. One of them I've already talked about, which is your credential evaluation. In our course, we explain in detail how to get a credential evaluation, how much does it cost, what are the companies that do this process. And in addition to that credential evaluation, you will also need to translate certain documents. We will explain which documents do you need to translate, how to translate them, how to find certified translators in your home country. In our course, we'll give you all of this information. And in addition to this, you might also need background checks. This will depend on states or school districts, so they will have specific rules. And you might also need certification exams that you take once you have arrived in America. So I'm gonna give you my example. I initially was hired to teach Spanish, and because my degree was in English and Portuguese, I then had to take a Spanish test once I have arrived in America. So this was after I got my visa. This was after I passed my job interview. This was once I was already in U.S. soil. I had to take a Spanish proficiency exam to prove that I know Spanish enough to teach Spanish in the U.S. Of course, the school certified that I knew Spanish in my visa interview, but this is just to explain to you that there might be certain certification exams that you must take to get your teaching license. And these exams will vary a lot between states. Thank you for watching our second live session. Hopefully, you are even closer to become a teacher in the US than you were in our previous session. And hopefully, you are way more aware of what qualifications you need. And hopefully, you have already gained an understanding if you are qualified to teach in America with your current experiences and academic background. See you in our next live session. Don't miss it. It's gonna be an important one. We will give you details about our online course. We will also talk about financial planning, how much do teachers make in America, and we'll briefly talk about which states pay teachers the most and least. But most importantly, we're going to explain in detail how we can help you, how Chris and I can help you teach in America with the expertise that we have and with the knowledge that we've gained through these years of teaching here and helping other teachers teach in the US. So see you in our next live session.